Yo, 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 good people. Welcome to the HERBMAN Show.
Yo, 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 good people. It's your homie HERBMAN. Go tell somebody your homie HERBMAN is on. And if you're new to the program, welcome. Go ahead and hit that logo right at the bottom of your screen. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you guys never miss what we're bringing to the world, all right? So I wanted to talk to you guys today about a really weighty subject to me, right? It's a foregoing on journey, right, that I am partaking in within myself. And I see that a lot of us most of us, matter of fact, all of us are entangled in this same journey. And a lot of us just don't know, okay? And so what I want to talk about, I want to answer the question, or at least give my opinion on how can we learn from nature, okay? How can we learn from nature? What do we need to learn from nature? You know, what are some of the qualities that nature exemplifies that can help us, man, in our endeavors here on the earth plane, okay? And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. It definitely has a lot to do with health, but I want you guys, before I get started, to remember to push that subscription button, and also remember that this is my opinion about this subject matter, all right? So again, how can we learn from nature on how to tap in to the benevolent, right? How to tap into our inner being, right? And be able to manifest every positive thing that we're trying to do in this earth plane, okay? How can we do that? So we first got to understand what some of the unnatural things that we're doing are versus the natural things that we're doing. And so I like to kind of put it in a health context, right? So we're talking about kind of like your involuntary actions are going to be things that you have no control over, right? Things like breathing. You're not thinking about breathing. You're not thinking about blinking, right? You see, you're not controlling your heartbeat, okay? So these things are what we call natural things that go on without your control. They're going on right now as you're looking at this video, and you're not controlling it, but it is happening within you. Okay, and a lot of people, a lot of researchers have also attributed this to your subconscious mind, or to the autonomic nervous system, right? Something that is going automatically without you controlling it, okay? And so you can say also this can be mind, right? Now mind is always going to be different from brain, okay? Brain is the actual organ, but mind is more controlled by your subconscious state. Okay, your subconscious state. But it doesn't mean that you don't control some of your thoughts, right? But when we're looking at from an unnatural understanding, these are always going to be the things that we have control over. Okay, again, like your thoughts, right? Your thoughts can be unnatural in nature. And it could be because of the programming that you have been subjected to from childhood on up, okay? And these programmings can cause negative thoughts. They can cause unnatural thoughts to come into your body, come into your existence, right? And so these things, they do have a connection. Because when you're trying to correct yourself from these unnatural things, then you're going to need to have to be able to know how to tap into your natural being. You see what I'm saying? So you have this duality to where you can pop in and out of the consciousness, but the consciousness that is going to always be the things that you know, right? So these are the things that you learn, right? Learning. These are the things that you learn. You can learn unnatural things, things that are really not natural to the state of being, okay? Because we're looking at each other when we're trying to figure out who we are. And it's either I want to be like Mike, I want to be like, this person, that person. And what you do is you put all of that knowledge and learn about somebody else right? How to be them. Now, how can you be somebody else? You can't be, right? But what we're doing is we are sizing ourselves up to other people instead of looking at it from another angle. Like, for instance, what if you looked at not a book, not another person, but what if you just looked at nature? And what if you grew up in nature and you allowed the natural progression of your being to determine who you are and what you're going to be in this earth plane? But we don't do that because of schooling and because of how we are being engineered socially. We come up with unnatural, I would call it unnatural expectations on our journey in this particular life plane. That'd be unnatural. You have black men trying to be like white men. You got white men trying to be like black men. You got Mexicans trying to be like the Chinese. You got Chinese trying to be like the Africans. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because you have a false sense of who and what you are here for. A false sense. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't obtain some success in our unnatural things, right? But there are always going to be limitations here. Always going to be limitations. So now how can we learn from nature? Things that are innate, things that just are faithful to our being, regardless of what we say, do, feel, and act in this plane. Okay. Well, again, breathing, blinking, heart beating, mind, but I also like to look at the sun, right? You can't control the sun, and the sun still rises and go down faithfully without you doing nothing about it. Also, the moon comes up, right? You can't control the moon. It guides you by night, just like the sun guides you by day. And there's nothing you can do about it, okay? Nothing you can do about it, okay? Now, when you're looking at these two fateful things that are involuntary actions, that are natural occurrences that you have no control over, that are also the basis of your livelihood. They are the basis of your livelihood. Now look back at some of these physical attributes. If you don't breathe, if your heart doesn't beat, these are the basis of your existence. Now, how come at the base of the core of my existence, these are things that I cannot control as a natural man, as a human being? Why is it that those responsibilities are not in my control? Ask yourself that, okay? So that you can understand now the science behind what we're talking about is, how am I able to manifest? How am I able to bring it all together? What are you saying, HERBMAN? How did this have anything to do with my health or my wealth? What are you talking about? Well, a lot of times what's happening in our particular consciousness is that we're giving it these negative thoughts, right? So we're going to say negative thoughts. Okay, we're talking about things that we're learning, okay, that could be in direct contrast to the natural state of who we really are. It could be in almost direct contrast. So now you're fighting against the wind, okay? You're fighting against the wind. Also, over here in this unnatural state, man wants to control every aspect of their desires. And again, it could be totally against what you really are here for. So you feed your subconsciousness with these unnatural conscious programmed engineering, right? That is totally opposite of each other. But the subconscious being doesn't have anything to do but to listen. It's not going to judge you. It's part of who you are. Okay, so I said that to say that because I want you to see that even murderers, rapists, no matter how egregious the crime is, the sun always rises and sets on their butt unless you do something to them. No matter how egregious you think their lifestyle is, the moon still rises and sets, you know what I'm saying, on their livelihood. These things are not judging the individual like we do. And so I always like to say that the creator, the natural understanding of the universe, when you look at the examples that are being given, okay, in this particular understanding, then you see that this is faithful to you. It doesn't judge you. It allows you to do and be however it is you want to do and be in this earth plane while just being faithful to your existence. And this just not the sun and the moon. This is all of these other things. Memory, smooth muscles. And when you get really down into the physicality of how you're able to do some of the stuff you're doing on the physical plane, you'll see that it's just obeying what you're putting into it. But if these things are unnatural, if they are negative in contents, then you're shortening all of this particular understanding, and you're not utilizing the examples that this can give you for really successing everything in your life, to really bring about that manifestation that you're looking for. Okay, over here can be also ego, right? Because we were told that we had dominion over all things. Okay, and this brings about a certain ego. Okay, and you'll want to control everything because somebody told you was in control. And then when things happen that get stuff out of control, like a lot of stuff that we're dealing with right now in our climate, right? We can't control what's going on, but we're trying to, but we can't control it. So everybody is coming down with the virus and coming down with this and that because it's uncontrollable. It's something that we cannot control. Even if we designed it, or even if it was natural, you still can't control it once you get it, once you put it out there, right? So you have this unnatural understanding that you're really not really in control, but you think you are. So when you have all of this stuff that we are trying to do without having direct examples from nature of how to do them and how to put it all into correspondence and how to make it to where we can understand it and understand exactly what we need to do for tomorrow and understand exactly what we need to do for today, then no wonder it is very difficult to get over some of our bad habits that come in an unnatural format, whether it be sexual deviance, all right, whether it be food addictions, all right, whether it be drugs. See, these are all unnatural coping mechanisms, right? Because we keep running into disappointment and we keep running into negative things, negative outcomes, right, in our agendas, and we don't know why. Why is it that I just can't wake up and do what I want to do? Because a lot of stuff that you may want to do may not be in agreement with who you naturally supposed to be and what you naturally supposed to be doing. I want you guys to really listen to me here. I may be fumbling with my words. I may can't explain it properly. And maybe you can go out there and find people who can explain this better. But I'm just planting a seed for you to understand that there are examples of how we can connect within ourselves to where we know that every step that we take is where we're supposed to be. And the people that we meet are the people we're supposed to be meeting. And the situations that are happening are from the natural understanding that this is what's supposed to happen. And if you think about the ancient people and how did they know about this and know about that, because they were able to work these two together. All right, they was able to work these two together and find some type of cohesiveness, right? To where they're not opposites and fighting any longer. Now they're working together. Okay, now they're working together. Okay, and when they are working together, now they can, you can seem prophetic. When these things start working together, You can seem like you can't do no wrong. You know, every decision that you're making is the right decision. You know, it seems like you're in tune with God. You're you know, how did you know these things, and how were you able to obtain the success that you obtained? Because I listened to self and stayed into my natural state. And instead of these being opposing in my body, I found a way to make them work together. I found a way to make my conscious mind program my subconscious mind with the right things based on the examples that nature gave me. Based on the things that nature gave me, right? So now when everything starts to align up, it can seem like I can do no wrong. It can seem as if I'm making the right decisions. But the reality of it is that I've just aligned myself with my natural state. With my natural state of being. And when you are born into this earth plane, and without you knowing it, without you really realizing it, every day you're fighting against your natural self, you're going to have an uphill battle in this experience. And this experience, in my opinion, is the true heaven. Once you get this dichotomy down, once you get this strategy down, once you understand who to look to and not to look at yourself, but to look at nature. See? To not judge yourself, to not ridicule yourself, but to be faithful to yourself in all your decision making, in all your thoughts, in all your learning. You want to obtain everything that builds this up, that makes this be the number one thing, instead of this being your number one thing that's controlling you. So you want everything to align up to what makes you feel that this is the reason you're here. And if every one of us is fighting against that, man, and we're all feeling out of place, and we're all feeling like, you know, I'm just getting by, and I'm doing the things I don't want to do versus doing the things I really want to do, then you're not going to have a great experience, and you're not going to be willing to call this heaven. You're not going to be willing to understand and conceptualize that you're actually in the natural plane. You're living with the God, because the God is in you. That's what heaven was about. To live and reign with God. You are doing that, but you don't notice him. You don't notice him, her, them. You don't notice it. God has been faithful. He's been non-judgmental. He's allowed you to do whatever you want to do, which is the land of milk and honey. You can have it all. You can do whatever you want to do. But the best of us, and how we were able to create culture, how we were able to create societies, how we were able to create all of the stuff that you see today, was because we realized, so you got to think about day one. In day one, they didn't have no clothes, they didn't have no tools, they didn't have no car, stove, they didn't have a house, they didn't understand how to cut wood. All of this stuff they didn't have, that had to come into the consciousness of the individual. It had to come into their consciousness. So all they had to learn from was not each other. They knew each other, didn't know anything. You in the same position as me, so I know not to ask you anything. So who do we learn from? How do we know what to eat to get to the next day, the next year? We got to look at nature. And from nature, we realize that we're not in control. That we do need to take a more humble approach to understand that we are a part of this big old thing called the universe. And that we need to get our exemplifications, right? Our examples of how to be and who to be with one another through how nature treats us. Through what nature gives to us. And that's why it's so important to reconnect with nature so that you can learn a lot of different things on the deep end of why you're here, why you exist in this particular plane. And I know that there are people out there asking themselves, why am I here? What am I supposed to do in this plane? I just don't get it. Everything is bad. Everything is negative. I've never given the right chance. And it's because you've been fed unnatural thoughts. You've been fed unnatural learning habits. You've been fed that you're in control, which has gave you a unnatural ego about things, and you run into these things to cope with all of that stuff, which is sexual deviances and food addictions and drugs and all of these different things, and now you can't let go of these things, right? So these things start to deteriorate the body. They start to deteriorate the body. They start to slow up the breathing. They start to slow up the heartbeat. They start to mess with the subconscious mind, right? They start to shorten your time span here with the sun and the moon. They start to shorten your time here with yourself. They start to shorten your time here with you and God. So that's why it's so important to understand that there are things that we can learn from the natural element, right? From the animals, from the plants, from the sun, from the moon. These are things that are just innate, are going to be who they are. And they don't try to be nothing else. And they enjoy the experience while they're here. And then they reincarnate, or they continue to repopulate so that these species can also gain the experience of being loved on unconditionally from the time you're here. But if you start looking at man, then yes, you will have some disappointments in the love area, because we love under conditions. And those conditions are, if you love me back, if you love me this way. Okay? Those are conditional means of love. But when you take love from the example of nature, now you know how to love. Now you know how to be in the moment. Now you understand that there are different seasons for different things, and that every day ain't going to be peaches and cream, and every day ain't going to be peace, and every day ain't going to be abundance. Which means that now you got to understand the other elements of storing up and harvesting at the right time and eating at the right time. And you know, everything is not what this unnatural understanding is. When the winter time comes, there's really not a whole lot of fruits and vegetables out there, right? But at your grocery store, they still got everything from spring and summer, basically. So you're never living in the seasons. There's a time to eat, and there's also a time to fast. There's a time to do, and there's a time to pray, meditate, rest. But if you're always going, you're always in these unnatural elements, it's because that's all you know how to do. Because you're taking pointers from people who don't know either. They don't know their own existence. They haven't connected the dots within their own lives. They are pretty much numb to negative things going on, so that's accepted. Because they feel like that's just the way it is. And when you have that's just the way it is mentality on everything that comes down the pipeline in this particular experience, then you're never going to change anything. You're never going to get the unction to change anything about the format of where your life is going. And I'm here today just to tell you that you can change it. That you can change your situation right now. That you can change your destiny, that you can change it. And all you're doing is, when you try to change it from the man state, from the unnatural state, you're only changing it into the thing that you're always supposed to be anyway. You know, a lot of us know that we're not doing what we really need to be doing, but we just don't know how to do it. And in this particular society, they love to tell us what we should do and what we shouldn't do, but they rarely tell you how to do it. Even on this YouTube, they tell you what you're doing wrong, what you need to be doing to do right. I tell you how to get rich. I tell you how to get this money. I tell you how to do this and do that. But they're not really telling you how. They're telling you what you can do. They tell you maybe when you can do it. But they never really tell you how. Not without buying the course. You understand? So what we're trying to do is get you to understand. Stop looking for me to tell you, and take your butt outside. Have a cool, calm look. You don't have to say much. And watch how everything is being themselves within this experience, except for you. Watch how nothing needs a book to know who they are, except for you. Watch how nothing is aspiring to be something else, except for you. Watch how proud everything is to be that which it was created to be, except for you. Watch how everything is okay with the time span that they have in this experience, except for you. Then you will begin to learn how to combine your conscious man with your subconscious, your natural innate ability to do things. And when you start feeding this particular part of you here with positivity, with things that coincide with your existence, you will see that this will work for you and not against you. And everything you say and everything you do will be in line with the things that you're supposed to be doing. And you would have enjoyed this time here with the Creator. So hey man, I didn't want to make this video long. I definitely wanted to make it strong, man. I love you guys, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, man. So go tell somebody to go tell somebody your homie HERBMAN was on. And until next time, love HERBMAN.
Yo, 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 good people. Welcome to the HERBMAN Show.